Hello, Tungsten Miner here. We are back again on a new version of the Quiet Countryside server. And as you can see, some things are the same, but some things are quite different. One of the things in particular that we changed this time around was to pick up a new version of Animania, which adds sheep of a variety of different kinds. Oh, there's a little ewe that just got born. Peacocks, and a lot of the same cows and pigs and other changes that we had before. Some other interesting changes. Picked up a new version of Agricraft, which is working a little bit better. Remember that in 1.10.2, which we're using now, Agricraft has been rewritten and is still in an alpha state, but it's looking a lot better these days. We still have Tinker's Construct, we still have Harvestcraft, you can see some of the trees back there. Bibliocraft still. Underground Biomes Constructs gives you all this stuff. Still have Chisels and Bits, although I personally haven't really done anything with it yet. Let's see what else is still going on here. Pretty much everything is the same. We did wind up having to take out Malace's doors, unfortunately, because the version available for 1.10.2 has some pretty nasty bugs in it. I understand, though, that versions for earlier and later versions of Minecraft work a whole lot better, so unfortunately we're stuck in the version that we're with. Let's see, we've got all of the thermal expansion stuff, we've got the Mine Factory Reloaded stuff. Being that we're in 10.2, you can see there's a one of the newer style boats for one, and there's a Ocean Temple out there for two. So that gives us a pretty nice bunch of stuff to work with. We're also, let's see, what else is worth talking about? Remember that the version of Tinker's Construct that is available for 1.10.2 is got some nice changes to it. In particular, you've got these nicer tool forges, which know a little bit more about what they're doing. You've got the nicer versions of the part builders, which are a little bit more flexible. The pattern chests work a little bit more nicely. So overall, doing pretty well with those. We also have, in addition to Harvestcraft, we've got cooking with blockheads, which unfortunately I haven't found any diamonds, so I haven't been able to set up yet. But once we've got that going on, we could say cooking, and you can make yourself a cooking table. You can make yourself the cooking with blockheads, cooking for blockheads books, and that makes it very easy for you to just look at this crafting table, the cooking table, and it will tell you what recipes are available with the stuff in your adjacent inventory. We still have advanced train generation, still the same version in fact. A new version hasn't quite become available yet, although they are actively working on it, I understand. So we'll just take a little trip around, kind of see what the world gen looks like this time around. I do spend a little while before restarting the server each time to try out a bunch of different seeds and see if we can find one that looks particularly nice, has some good characteristics. This one in particular, tried to find one that the initial spawn location is on a big-ish island, but not an enormous one. This one I thought was kind of interesting, that got a lot of fields out here. You've also got some heights and elevations. So here we've got some plateaus with some stuff growing on there. One of the things that sadly is not available yet is this version of Advanced Training Generation we're using also is kind of an alpha for this version of Minecraft, and doesn't yet support your various biome mods, so extra biomes, biomes of plenty, all those sorts of things, unfortunately do not get acknowledged, and we're using completely vanilla biomes. Oh, well, looks like someone has been building over here. This is one of the other players on the server, so he's using architect's blocks to get those nice corners there. And what else? Looks like he's using Tinker's Construct and some of the more advanced tanks there. He's got an Immersive Engineering coke oven going on. So building himself a nice, respectable little home down here. Another nice feature of the alternate terrain generation, of course, is you get real hills and mountains and valleys and forests in a non-random pattern, right? As you get higher up, you can see we've got some snow-capped mountains here as we get above the cloud layer. Here is a ram, one of the newer animals in Animania. Appropriate that we'd find these guys way up here, isn't it? We can get really high up. Another aspect of what we've got going on with the server here, get a little bit higher, I can show that. Oh, come on, horse, you can do it. Or maybe you can't. Alright, alright. Get up here sooner or later. Okay, we're way up at the top. So if I jump off the horse here, you can see that globe in the center of my GUI HUD is just had an arrow go sweeping down, which means I'm getting colder. So we're using tough as nails, which adds this notion that you can get too hot and too cold. And of course you also see the water droplets just above my little hunger meter, which means that I can get thirsty. And so to compensate for that, it adds a canteen and it adds various kinds of armor, which don't really protect you. Oh, where is it? Here we go, all the tough as nails stuff. Adds these wool suits and the slime suit, which will keep you warm in this case and cool in this case. And it also adds the tough expansion, was another mod we added, which gives you this temperature regulator. So you can just power it and it will keep the temperature in a reasonable, comfortable level within somewhere around where you are. And then you can also carry portable versions of these things that you charge up, and then it'll use that power to keep your local environment in a good place. And the same deal for this thirst quencher. Now, I haven't gotten far enough along in this world yet to have power even, so those things are a little bit beyond my reach at the moment. But we'll get there. Bunny rabbits, also new in this version of Animania. And of course you can see they're quite a bit different from the vanilla Minecraft rabbits, which they replace. Same deal for the piggies over here. This is a piglet. Way up on a mountaintop. Kind of an odd place to run into a piglet. Also, the sheep and goats come in the same kind of varieties that you'd expect from the other animals. So there's a lot of different ones. Let's get off this mountaintop here before we freeze to death. Oof. Horses can take a fair bit of damage from falling, but better than you taking it, I suppose. Alright, so as we get lower down, we're going to see, if I jump off my horse, that my temperature gauge is going to start creeping back up eventually. So that's Quiet Countryside version 2. There's a couple of other mods we added, but not a lot's different. So just as a reminder, the quiet part of the countryside is that I've added a mod that allows me to control where hostile mobs get spawned, and to make it so that they only spawn in complete darkness and only underground. So the countryside itself is going to be relatively quiet. Not a lot of hostile mobs coming after you. But you can still go find them if that's what you're really looking for. And then the countryside, of course, is there's a whole lot of mods that add a lot of realism and a lot of interest to the countryside. You know, our animals, our terrain, our ore generation is oriented to be a little bit more realistic. The server is still open. We've got a good number of players, but still a few open spots. So if you are interested in joining the server, just let me know in the comments, and we'll get you hooked up. So, talk to you later.